Hello, everyone, and welcome to the seventh episode of Get the Fog Out with me, Sanket. And today we're going to talk about the art of second order thinking. So, what I want to talk about today is that, most of the time when we make decisions, we are not really thinking. We are reacting to that decision that we are about to take. We say yes to something because it feels good at the moment. We chase opportunities because they look shiny. We solve today's problem without thinking what they will create tomorrow. That's the really trap of first order thinking. It feels smart, it feels fast, but it's shallow. And today I want to talk about something that completely changed how I look at decisions in business, in life, in relationships, and it is called second order thinking. And it's one of those frameworks that once you get, you can't unsee it. It's always running back in your head for most part. So let's start simple. First order thinking, it asks that what is the immediate outcome of a decision, of this decision that I'm taking right now. But second order asks, then what happens? And what happens after that? And what chain of events will this trigger if I make this decision and execute it? Most people, they'll just stop at the first question. The smartest people, they think in 2, 3, 5 steps ahead. It is a difference between playing a checkers game or playing a chess game, if it makes sense. I am not actually aware of checkers rule, but this was something that I got to know. So let me give you a few examples. So for example, you skip the gym today, it feels good, but the consequences is that you make it easier to skip tomorrow as well. And that's a kind of a second order thinking that we think about. A company offers a huge discount to attract customers. It's a short term, sales might go up, but in long term you train people to wait for the discounts. That is like a second order thinking that you can take away from that. Also, for example, if you hire a cheap designer instead of a good one, you might save money now. You might be able to save few bucks on that project, on that logo, or on that creative, but you might lose time, you might lose brand quality, you might end up doing the same design or the same thing, everything again later. That is second order thinking. Every choice has a kind of a ripple effect and you can't escape them, but you might be able to predict it by thinking about it a little bit more. And I'm not, this also like resonates with the first episode I did, which talks about overthinking. And if you think in a manner where I was talking about that, overthinking can sometimes hurt you and it can sometimes help you, but if you utilize that overthinking energy with the concept of second order thinking, you might be able to foresee and think about the consequences of a decision that you are about to make. So in a world where everything is optimized for speed, this skill, a long-term consequences of thinking, long-term thinking is becoming a superpower. I see a lot of people that what they will do is, like, for example, there is a new tool, it comes out and they'll just think about the first thing that they can do about it. But if you are able to think beyond that, you might be able to build a substantial business, a substantial career out of it. Like AI automation, instant gratification, everything is built to give us results right now. We want now. I want to open my Instagram, I want to feel good about it. If I want a workflow to work, if I'm working on a project, I want to release it now. But the people who win in this era, in this new 26 year and beyond, are the ones who will think fast, but they are the ones who can think deep as well. Every major shift in history, from technology to politics, was created by people who saw that second order effects of change before anyone else. For example, when Steve Jobs removed the headphone jack, everyone mocked him. But he wasn't thinking about today's inconvenience. He was thinking that this will push the era of wireless audio forward. And today, AirPod makes billions every year. That is a kind of a second order thinking in action that we can see. And let's try to bring this closer to home, something closer that we can relate about, how it shows up daily in our life. Think about your life, your own life for a second. Most of the stress we face comes from first order decisions. You may choose easy conversation instead of an honest one. You might delay something which is uncomfortable instead of dealing with it. We try to chase dopamine and not the direction. And then in few weeks or months later, the problem compounds. The second order thinking is not just about business strategy. I mean, it's a emotional maturity that we can gain as a skill, and it's all about the, I mean, this feels uncomfortable now, but it might save me pain later. This may look small now, but it will compound massively over time. And that's like a second order thinking that you can talk about. I'll give you another example from my personal experience. It's again something which is related to the career move. So when I was working as an automation engineer and I was automating things, even before ChatGPT became something which every new user can talk about and everybody knew about what AI and automation is all about. While I was working there, I thought that, right now we are trying to basically connect existing infrastructure and automate them, and we are trying to kind of replace human activity. But eventually, the world is going to move to a place where the systems are intelligent themselves. Like right now, we are trying to just connect few of the ERP softwares together so that they talk to each other. But eventually, the ERP system is going to become smart itself. So there is a small chance that the career path that I'm going towards might become obsolete or shift. And this made me start working on my skills, which becomes fruitful now when we have actual capability to build smarter systems. We still need like automation to connect these systems together, but that made me like a little bit edge over my other colleagues. So like, let's make this practical, because theory means nothing if we are not able to use it. And here's a full simple step process that you can follow, and you can like start today. Just grab any thought, anything that you want to might decide on, and let's like put in these steps. So the first step for this one is pause and don't decide instantly for any major decision or any decision that you are trying to make. When something looks exciting or urgent, stop there for a moment. Even before like sending that email, stop for a minute. The biggest mistake happens in the gaps between impulse and intention. So we have to first make sure that we are not making impulsive decisions. We have to be very intentional about our actions, our thoughts. And the second is like, then ask, then what? It's a question then you can ask, that after making a decision, then what's gonna happen, or then what I need to do. What if I say yes to this, but what happens because of that? Play out the chain, like the whole theory, the whole graph, not just one step, but think about the next 2-3 steps. For example, right now, if we don't focus on the service sector and we start making the products, and we shift towards actually making products and shipping it, what will happen? What will if I just stop providing the services? The cash flow might stop, or we might not be able to understand the market properly. We might have some cash burn in our process. I might also have to think that maybe the product that I'm thinking, because it's not in a phase where it can be tested, if I close down one part of my work and focus on the other one, it might go great, it might not go great. I mean, you may get into it like 100%, but stop for a second and then ask what's next. So moving on, the third step is like zoom out. Look at your decision from like a 50,000 foot view, like see it in a God mode, and like what does this choice do in your life in next 6 months, maybe in next 2 years. Similarly, taking the same example, if I zoom out, what I feel like is the services, because of these intelligent systems, the services are becoming a little bit easier for people to get onto. But in the end, what they need is like a product that we can sell. A service can be converted into a product. So in maybe 6 months, we might struggle a lot in delivering services, but if we productize those services, I see that there is a way of scaling that as a business. And step 4 that you can take is run a reverse simulation for the same decision that you are about to make. So imagine the decision fails. What does the version of your life looks like? Would you still be okay with that risk? This is how long-term thinkers think. They run a mental simulation before making moves, and they see the dominoes, not the dots. So if this makes sense to you, I am mostly talking in terms of like business, but I think this can also be applied in our personal life. Again, I might be thinking from a business perspective, but what if I move out of this decision? Right now, maybe there are some consequences, maybe for some better opportunities, maybe for a job I want to move out, but before saying yes to that decision, think about like you have to move out of your city. Are you getting enough so that you are able to sustain yourself. Look at a little bit of the demographics of the city. Look at the growth of your career. Will you be able to like sustain yourself? We know we have like life plans, we have life goals, but we have to kind of find a sweet spot where we are able to think in a long term consequences. I might be talking a little bit more again from a business perspective. Think of this in a relationships as well. If you want to break up with somebody, look at it like, first pause, think about what's going wrong, what's going good. Then think about, if you make that decision, what will happen? Will you get your freedom back, or what is the problem that is in the relationship? Is it something that we can talk it out? Then zoom out and see like, what is the next thing that you want to do? Do you want to give yourself a time, or do you want to find somebody, some partner with whom you can actually feel good about it? And then run a reverse simulation around it. Like, think about your life. Is the one someone that you can't see your life? Or in a business perspective, I can speak a lot. So moving on, let's talk about like a business again for a second. In startups, I have seen this happen a lot of often. Like in a lot of new businesses, a lot of startups that I might go through online or speak with some of the founders, or some people, that founders try to optimize for growth hacks instead of systems. They chase clients instead of trying to build recurring revenue. They might overhire for the moment instead of thinking about scaling roles. It feels like a momentum, but it's really just noise that you are creating. I mean, if we have like in our own business, if we just think about growing our company and not really thinking about that there should be a system in place for growth, then when the growth actually happens, the whole foundation collapse. Like sometimes even if you like think about hiring your team and you just post out some LinkedIn post and you go out and you hire a new team, you might end up like hiring similar people for the same task, and it just become a redundant team and a cash burn for the business. But if you think about, will I be able to scale my business at this level? If I am hiring new people, are the people or the team members that I already have, is there a capacity for them to basically move up their roles? Can they free up some of my time? If some of those dots click, then of course go out and hire. Unless you don't have a lot of angel investment and you can just burn the money. But if not, then please do some second order thinking. And really, second order thinking changes how you build, how you think. You stop asking that, how do I get more? And start asking, how can I make this last? And that's a difference between a business and a brand. So here is a hard part. Second order thinking usually means doing the harder things now. Like you might have to say no to certain decisions. You might have to take some steps that feels uncomfortable. But saying no to short-term rewards, choosing patience over popularity, letting go of something that feels good but doesn't align. It's hard, but I think it's worth it. Especially when I talk from my own perspective. I know it feels very hard, and I've been constantly working on these things that I usually talk about. And the reason that I want to talk about these things a little bit more is because it reinforces me as well to make these decisions and these systems. So when we think in that manner, you might not see the consequences or the output of these things right away, but you will be able to last. Even when things are bad, when things are going south, you'll already have figured it out, few steps that you want to make. And because almost everything is meaningful in life. We give meaning to a lot of things in our life, but it also requires us to make some painfully short-term decisions that produce powerful long-term results. And like Ray Diallo said, that it's one of those lines that just sticks. So here is a challenge for you, for me, for anyone who's watching, or with anyone that I talk about. You can also share this information with your friends and discuss it among yourself. That think about that one decision you are sitting on right now, and it could be something in your work, your relationship, your health. Ask yourself, what's the immediate benefit that I'm chasing? What are the second and third order consequences? And what would future me thank for? And then choose accordingly. I'll give you one more example. I'm struggling with this for last few months. I was going good for the first half of 25. It's the same thing. Like, I was going to gym, I was getting healthy, I was eating healthy, but then a lot of stress came along. And with that short-term consequences, the next day I gave this focus to the business back. And, I skipped one day, I skipped another day. Then I tried going back again. And then I started eating unhealthy food just so that as a comfort food. And I was just thinking about this one small decision that I had to make. Okay, I don't want to go to gym. I want to focus on this thing right now. But on a long term, in a second order thinking, I should also think about, like, if I don't go today, okay, I might not go tomorrow, and it will just train my brain again and easier to prioritize other things a lot. And moving forward, maybe in 3 months, if I'm not able to stick to it, I might get unhealthy, which might affect the way I work. It might affect my energy levels, it might affect my, and eventually it will affect my work, which I've been seeing in last 1 month. So now I'm like thinking about again going and dedicating this time and space to getting healthier, getting fitter. So, the smartest people don't make perfect decisions. I've seen this thing. Like, they make a thoughtful ones. They have like certain principles, they have certain goals that they have thought about, and then they just focus on that by thinking in few steps ahead of everyone else. They understand wisdom isn't about being the right one, it's about making some decisions and trying to be right later. So slow down, try to play the long game, and because while everyone is trying to react on things, you will be the one who will be designing your dominoes. So if this idea, if this thought process of second order thinking like resonates with you, please hit subscribe, like this, because this is what exactly I want to keep on talking about. In the last 6 episode, I was talking about founder psychology a lot. I think this also comes from a very similar perspective, but this comes a lot under like entrepreneurship and mental models. And it's a skill. Sometimes it's like a pro, sometimes it's a con. Like, because, I'll also tell you, because I hit a problem with this second order thinking as well, which kind of turned into being indecisive and overthinking. These two topics that I like covered recently. But because I've been talking about these things and I've been trying to play these challenges among myself, after a certain point, second order decision, even if I had to make certain decisions very quickly, very fast, the brain did like a very quick revisions of the consequences of this thing. And because of that, my life became a little bit better in terms of being an entrepreneur or even as a self. I know it can become even much better, but at least there's a start. So please do give this second order thinking some thoughts, some exercises that you can follow. And, please like, share, and subscribe. I try to talk about every week about mental models, founder psychology. Soon I'll cover some technology, creative, spirituality. These are few pillars that I'm trying to build and talk about it. And if you want to like dive deeper into this topic, I also like publish some more of these frameworks, some of these researchers on my Substack or on the website, or I'll soon share some resource library in my description. So thank you for watching, and as always, think deeper, move a little bit slower, and play an infinite game. And I'll see you in the next one.
On an ocean block where I cast these spells. Boys chat hype, I chat system, speaking code, design with wisdom. AI bot with an astral vision, BPM jump but the soul stay rhythm.